afternoon, everybody. So, at the end of the day, you might feel a little tired, but we hope we're going to get the message of mental wellness across to you. We have a short amount of time for this panel, and we're really wanting to look at, in this report that we've produced, the white paper on mental wellness, we've tried to map the territory. What are the different pathways to mental wellness? What is mental wellness? How do we evaluate it? What does this mean for the wellness industry? So we have a panel here of distinguished participants, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and then I'm going to give them a couple of questions each. Then we'll have a discussion with you for only a few minutes. Then we'll come back to the panel and see where we go. Okay? Thank you. So we'll just start from this side and go down.
My name is Bob Roth. I'm the CEO of the David Lynch Foundation, and I've been teaching Transcendental Meditation for 46 years.
Hi, everyone. I'm Debra Benovitz. I'm the SVP of Global Consumer Insights at WW, and that is Weight Watchers Reimagined, as well as the SVP of Social Community Impact.
Hello. My name is Sergio Pecorelli. I am a professor of obstetrics and gynecology at the University of Brescia here in Italy, and my special interest is in the first 1,000 days.
Good evening. My name is Niamh O'Connell, and I'm the Group Vice President of Rosewood Hotel Group based in Hong Kong, and been in the hospitality industry for over 20 years.
Thank you, everybody. You can see we've got a very diverse range of skill sets, of experience, but a lot of experience on this panel. And the theme of the panel is getting the mental wellness message out to the wider community. So I'm going to ask each of the panelists to give us your thoughts on what is your mental wellness message that you want to get out. Bobby?
So I've felt for a long time that techniques like meditation should not be restricted to, I'm from New York, to the Upper East Side, the people of the means. They should be available to, people who may need it the most, and those are at-risk, under-resourced, underserved populations. So, as I said in the previous meeting, the David Lynch Foundation has now provided scholarships for 1 million children and teens to learn to meditate as part of a school program, whole schools meditating, and faculty and principals. We're also working with charter schools to turn schools during the evenings and weekends into wellness hubs, because the facilities are there, and so now we're offering to that community all the different things you've been hearing about here this weekend. And so really actively bringing the knowledge out and addressing this issue of adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, which can traumatize a child at an early age and put them on a trajectory of destructive behavior. So I'm dedicated the last 14 years of the foundation 100% on getting this message out into the community to everyone.
Thank you. Deb?
Hi. So as the leader of Consumer Insights at WW, I spend every day speaking to our current consumers and potential consumers, and we ask them, what are they looking for in this space? 3 years ago, as the company was really struggling, they told us, you guys are providing a diet, and we're looking for way more than that. We're looking for, of course, fitness and movement and nutrition, but most importantly, we need you to help us get our head in the right space. Because if our head is not in the right space, we won't be able to do anything at all. Over the last 3 years, we've watched that evolve. They saw it then as 3 separate pillars. What they're begging for today is a holistic approach to wellness that includes mind, body, and spirit, and these are words that the consumer gave me directly. They want, of course, body and all kinds of help around nutrition and movement and hydration and sleep, but also mind, and that's around stress management, that's around gratitude and positive thinking, And then the soul piece is interesting. That's about the why. Help me understand my purpose, why I need to be in the right mental space, because if I am in the right mental space, I will be able to do all the other things and have a successful wellness journey. So that's the message they told us they're looking for, and that's the message that we're translating back and bringing both to our paying members, but also as part of my social impact role, we are democratizing that and bringing it out to the world, and I think we'll talk later about the platforms.
Thank you very much, Deb. Signor Professore.
Grazie. Well, personally, I think that we should understand very well the environment in which a new life is conceived. This is number one. Number two is the fact that attention has to be paid to early life, and which goes theoretically speaking, from the moment of conceivement, of conception, to the first, let's say, 1,000 or even 8,000, 18 years, days. However, there is one very important moment, which I also explained yesterday, and that is the preconception. That is how we get there. Why all this? Well, because plasticity is highest at the beginning of life. And so what we can do with the environment, and when I say we, it's not only what we do, exercise and do all of the things that you said, but also what the environment is given us by the place we live. And I think that we have to understand also that we have to adapt to an ever-changing environment. Keep in mind that Darwin said one very important thing, that it's not the strongest person or the most intelligent one that survives, but it's the one that is able to adapt itself to change. And I think that keeping this in mind, then we can say that paternal stress, prenatal stress, anxiety, stressful events, natural also distress. All of this have to do with what you heard just 5 minutes ago, and that is with epigenetics,
yes,
and have to do with the effects of it. So my word is, be careful, remember that everything starts, obviously, at the beginning.
Grazie, Professore. And don't despair, even though we've been conceived, even though nobody knew about the first 1,000 days when they were our first 1,000 days, there is hope. And we'll get to that. Right. Niamh,
yes,
over to you.
So at Rosewood, one of our key and core pillars is to be intuitive. And as you all know, this is not something that you can write an SOP for and you can't train it. So we try to deliver intuitive service through creating an emotional connection, and also by ensuring that our teams and our associates are going to be empowered to connect with guests. And in this day and age, I think, as we all know, this is an ongoing challenge with all of the technologies that we have, which are conveniences and in some cases hinder some of these emotional connections. So I'm very fortunate to work with a young CEO, Sonia Cheng. She's 37 years of age with 4 adorable children under the age of 7. And she decided to create a framework in order to achieve this intuitive service and to create a community. And so we regard our associates as the heart of our house. And what we do is we then task our leadership teams of each of these houses, which are hotels, to nourish and to protect the souls and the hearts of these individuals. And the reason why we do this is because we want these individuals and associates to feel very much part of our community, and that they are important to us. They're part of our foundation, and every action that they take has a consequence on our guests, which are many of you here, and a consequence on their associate, their colleagues as well. So this is one of the small steps that we're taking in Rosewood is to ensure that our leaders are nurturing the leaders of tomorrow by being intuitive in terms of the care that they give to our associates in our own homes, which are our hotels. And that's what we do, Gerry.
Wonderful, thank you, Niamh. As you can see, there are 4 very different realms that our panelists are speaking from, and I think this gives us a sense of what a broad framework mental wellness is. It really, we could say it cuts across everything, but I think it's more realistic to say it underpins everything. What I'd like to do is to ask the panelists now to give us their thoughts on how to get this message out. We don't want it to be the province of an elite community, a privileged world that really operates within itself of a wellness community, but to get this out, how do we do that? Bobby, from your perspective.
My mom calls me Bobby, and Gerry calls me Bobby.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, I
I've
like
known
it.
him for 35 years.
Yeah. And also Rona and Jeffrey. Anyway, I think that it's the pull is there. People they want something. It needs to be delivered in a way that's simple, accessible, evidence-based, not complicated. I remember I went and had a meeting with Goldman Sachs, and they invited me to come and talk about our corporate wellness program. And I had this 4-page brochure that I thought was really good, and the person said, no, at Goldman, if you can't put your reasoning why we should work with you on 1 page in 3 points, it's not our priority. It's just not our priority. Because it's got to be, you shouldn't have to convince me of the need. And so to that extreme, there's a demand. But on the other side, people say, well, how do you get these inner city school kids in Chicago, or we're all over the world, in Jordan, in Latin America, to practice TM? And I say, they all know the stress. They can't sleep. They know fear. And you just translate it into a way, would you like to learn a simple technique? It's so easy, you can learn it in a few hours and you have it, it'll be relaxing. They all say yes. And then the data is there that shows that it does actually help with those 1,000 days. Professor, we're actually working with young mothers and young mothers before they give birth. So that's the time, because the stress, as you know, of the parents. So I think the solution is to make these tools integrated throughout society, that it's not an exception, it's the norm.
Thank you very much. Deb.
So we are extremely fortunate at WW because we have 3 platforms that are already created that help us get the message out. And at this point, we're just trying to determine the best partners to work with us to get that message out even more loudly and broadly. So we have 30,000 meetings a week globally. We call them workshops now, and these meetings happen in every city, and we have people coming open and ready to learn about our ecosystem of holistic health. So we have the platform. We also have a chief science officer who has developed a curriculum. Every single week we have a piece of curriculum. We had about 25% of our curriculum around mental wellness last year. This year it's up to 50%. Because our members have told us that's what they want to learn about. So we have a beautiful curriculum in every meeting around really important things: gratitude, mindfulness, meditation, all of the topics that we know are so important in this space. We also have an app, and that app reaches 4.8 million members. What we're working on now is to figure out how to have some of this stuff on the other side of the paywall so it could reach the world, not just the paying members. And that's really important to us. On that app, we post both the curriculum that I spoke about, but also we have partnerships. Right now, I think you've heard that we have a partnership with Headspace, but we're looking for more partners that would help everyone in this space. Our 3rd pillar, which is brand new, we just started this summer, and it's all part of our dream to democratize wellness. We have committed to have free wellness fairs in many, many cities. We did 6 this summer, and we just started the initiative in May. We're hoping to do, and I don't know if I should say this and commit to it, but we're hoping to do 100 next year globally. free wellness festivals where people can come and learn about wellness, booths around meditation, mindfulness. Again, we're looking for great partners to help us do this. And you come and you learn about wellness, and for every person that came to one of these festivals this summer, it triggered a month of fresh fruits and vegetables for a local family in need. So we're teaching wellness, but people are happy to come into the fair, A, because it's free, but B, because it does something for someone else. So we do have these 3 great platforms, and again, those are our platforms, but we are looking and dreaming of partnering more broadly to utilize these platforms in the best possible way.
Fantastic. Thank you, Deb. You can see everybody in their own way in this mental wellness sphere is working to get the message out. Professore, what are your suggestions, reflections on how to get your message about mental wellness out? It's a big message. Yours is in a way, what Professor Pecorelli is talking about, the message is, this is the first generation that has had the knowledge to be able to plan ahead to optimize human evolution. We know how now to give the next generation the very best chance to be in the very best health and the very best mental health and optimize brain functioning by making decisions in advance. That's a very big message. It's a public health message. Yeah. It's a species message. How to get it out?
You always steal words. Let's see it from another angle, because I think that what we just heard, is something which is possible and which is going to have results in the medium and long run, but also immediately, of course, you can do something. Now, I would like to see it also from my viewpoint, which is the point mainly of a scientist. I've always said one thing, that everything not only starts with life, which is obvious, but starts with the school. I think that if we could deliver these messages to kindergarten, of course, with the proper ways, and then going on through the whole educational process, then we'll be all set, because people will be primed with this. And it's not something new that comes to you, and all of a sudden, and you hear these things, epigenetics, Jesus, what is it, No. Then number 2, I think that we have also to change the attitude of the professionals who are in the field. Medical doctors first. And so we have to change things in how or what to teach in medical schools, for instance. Second thing is all health caregivers, nurses, midwives, whatever. The third one is the working places. Today we listened to a beautiful presentation about how you can better the life of people who work in any place. Well, I think that it's not only how we can give them a better life and even happiness, but also how we can educate them to what is known, because things come up all of a sudden and very fast. There is a study from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology that is showing us that after the year 2000, the advances in knowledge in all fields go up not exponentially, but exponentially at the exponential with the J curve. So it's impossible to understand and to know everything. This has to do with mental wellness. That's why we have to start very early. I stop here because I see it's already 4 minutes.
Thank you. You're doing my job for me. Niamh.
Okay, so I'll be brief. As I was talking about associates earlier, I'm going to continue on that vein and just give you some examples of how we look at this from an eco perspective, and it's a domino effect. So when we're opening hotels, we understand that this is a very intense and very stressed time for our executive teams within the hotels. So what we do with our leadership teams is basically provide them with life coaching. So they will have from 3 to 5 days with life coaches off property, who will provide them with the tools to deal with all of these stressful situations. So they'll have manning issues, they're going to be firefighting on a daily basis, they're going to be multitasking, and all doing all of this on very little sleep. So their stress levels really need to be contained. And also then the effect of the coaching that they receive filters down to their managers and team leaders within the hotels. And following the pre-openings, they then receive access to these coaches for ongoing guidance as and when they may need to have this. And then another very simple tactic and idea that we came up with a couple of years ago when I joined Rosewood, the Global Wellness Day was something that we wholeheartedly backed. And it was something, again, that Sonia really was behind and enjoyed all of the initiatives that the teams in the hotels put together. So following the successes that this created, not just for our guests, but also for our associates, she said, why do we only do it once a year? Why aren't we doing this more frequently? And so we said, okay, we went back out to the teams and we said, what can we do? And they said, let's do Wellness Wednesdays. And so we said, great. So Wellness Wednesdays is open for all of the associates to have activities, to eat very well, to have mindful moments, but also to have access to professionals if they need to have a conversation, which is very important for them as well. And so the domino effect that we talk about here is that these associates go home, they're going to feel much more content, they're going to feel happy, and it has an effect on their family life as well and with their friends. So it's this whole ecosystem that we talk about. It's, it's a cycle, and so this is something that's very important to us. And as a result of that, one of the previous speakers was talking about happiness and contentment. So our associates then reward us with loyalty, with motivation, and they're passing on all of this contentment to our guests. So it's, they're doing it unknowns to themselves, and that's the pleasure and that's the success that we see with our associates.
Fabulous. Thanks, Niamh. That's a wonderful story. It's the virtuous circle. We have a few minutes to open it up to you all. I don't know, do we have microphones in the audience? If not, don't worry. Just speak out and I'll repeat the question so that... Pardon? Belt it out, Bobby says. Okay. Do some of you have comments, contributions, questions that you'd like? Yes, Lisa. Belt it out. I'm not hearing you, Lisa. Can you come up the front? Oh, the species.
One second. If you don't mind starting over and say. Hi, my name's Lisa, and just intrigued with your comment about it's not a human condition or movement that we're moving toward. It's a species one, and I love that.
I don't think I said it's not human because the species.
But I'm sorry, you just said. I know you said it's species.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you very much. Lisa Fasulo led the dance section experience during the break, and dance we've listed in the white paper is one of the modalities that improves mood, reduces depression and anxiety, and also activates new gray and white matter generation in the brain. This was really just my observation that what Sergio and his colleagues are focusing on is something very new for us as a species. We've never had information of what can be done to improve the species, not in an Orwellian sense of sort of controlling this kind of super race, but just optimizing the potential that we have to be fulfilled in the next generation. That knowledge is now here, and Professor Pelletier was talking about it with the focus on epigenetics, and they're putting it together in terms of life influences and parental influences, where the health of the father before conception really has an influence on the health of that child as an adult later, and the health of the mother during pregnancy, same thing. We know this now. This is something that as a wellness community has implications on how at every stage of the lifespan we take the wellness message to our fellow humans. So that was really the point there, Lisa. I think it's a unique point in human evolution to be able to say, this will optimize future generations. That was the point. Anything you want to add to that, Sergio? Am I hired?
Well, no. I'd like to give you just one example, which is really critical, and which has to do then with mental wellness. Many years ago, more or less a century ago, when I was in medical school, they used to tell us that a woman during pregnancy had to be extremely careful how she moved. Because, you know, at the beginning there was danger of abortion. And then I don't remember now which other dangers. I mean, all those are lies, okay? As a matter of fact, if the woman moves, physical exercise, during pregnancy, what happens? There are two major things. One is the fact that her movement is conditioning the production of growth factors, in the brain. One of them is called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is going then to impact upon an area of the brain which is called the anterior hippocampus, which is responsible, in a few words, for memory, for whatever is important for your mental wellness. So it increases the number. But not only that, it's also going to increase the production of vascular endothelial growth factor, VEGFs, they're called. They're small molecules. They are made by the myofibrils of your muscles when you walk. And what they do, they pass the placenta, and they go up to the fetus, to the brain, and they start a new vasculature. So you have new vasculature, you have new neurons, and you make up your brain. So if you can tell a mother things like this, which help the plasticity and at the same time the growth of your baby, but also the outcome and the fate of the health and the wellness of the baby, which eventually will become an adult and then in the blue zone, okay, then it's very important.
I just want to build on one thing.
Yes, Deb.
We're all about connections here, and we are just starting some workshops that are very specifically against the cohort of new moms. So I would love to talk to you further about teaching that kind of curriculum in our workshops with new and pregnant moms.
Things are moving fast. That's getting the message out. Very good. Do we have any other questions that? Yes.
Hi, I am Adriana. You said that everything starts in school. And you talk about a program on children, Niamh. Can you tell us if you have to do anything special, or if you have do everything, something with the kids, or if you have seen results or something? Can you talk us a little more on that?
What are the...
He gives me 30 seconds, but...
Yeah, no, 25. The question really is, okay, we hear you, it's in the schools, but what? What in the schools? What are the specific inputs you think are optimal and critical for the children?
Yeah. I think that what is critical is to explain in a very, very simple way science to children. And among science, there is, of course, also biology. And there are also all these new things which are the behavior and the lifestyles of the people. That's what I meant mainly. If you teach, I have done it, I mean, and the results are extraordinary, but not because I am good, but because they are good in receiving and in absorbing what you are saying, much more than you can think, much more than my colleagues. So I think that you should do 3 things in school. One, a program, and the program can be very simple. You can even find it on the web, because there are these things. You have to choose the right ones. Number 2, you have to teach the teachers how to teach. The famous T3, teach the teachers to teach. And then you have also to talk to the parents, because the real difficulties I had was with the parents. Maybe that we are in a country, you know, with long-lasting traditions, and talking, you know, about conceivement and things like that. The conception is something which, to me, as a gynecologist, is obvious, but not so obvious to the parents, because they don't know what it is, you know. So I think that you have to really handle the whole thing with the 3 layers, and it works. However, if you don't have your local government or central government and so on that approves this, you are hopeless. And this never happened in many, many countries. So it cannot be left to private enterprise, because this is something that has to do with the whole population. Otherwise, we miss the point.
Thank you, Sergio. We have one last question, because we're getting low on time, and I want to come back and let the panelists have a last word here. Yes.
Hello, my name is Daniela, and you know, our current and I would say maybe outdated science is dualistic, very dualistic, and it says that everything is separated from one another. And you know, the growing spirituality and...
What's your question, Daniela?
Excuse me, sorry. My question is, how do you teach children and people that they are connected, because wellness and mindfulness is so much about connection, when our science says that we are not connected?
Can you do that briefly, or we do it
briefly? I think that whenever we talk about either the older medicine or the wellness medicine, as I tried to explain yesterday, there is a point in which the 2 of them are linked, and that is the community, and that is the people, the person to person, because what you have to teach is that one thing is the individual, which is okay, and who can have all of its biomarkers. And another thing is the ensemble of the people and what you can get from the community, which is going to be a very important layer of this network. Now, in the wellness...
To wind you up. Sorry.
Yes.
Is there a final point? No, sorry. We've got less than 5 minutes, I'm sorry. Please continue the conversation with Professor Pecorelli afterwards, but I want to give our panelists a chance for a final word here. Yes, Niamh.
Oh, I have one. Thank you. I think it's been inspiration sitting here on this panel with these colleagues today and the wealth of knowledge that they're sharing. And I think in order to continue this movement in mental wellness and well-being, it's on forums like this where we can share ideas coming across from all sectors of the industry. And I think this has been a wealth of knowledge, not just for me, but also I'm sure for the audience here as well today. So thank you for sharing with me, and also for any questions that come from the audience is how we share and grow as well.
Thank you for your contribution too, Niamh. Sergio?
I think I spoke too much.
No. The time was too little, that's the point.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think that what is great here, also today and yesterday, is the fact that we are so different, thanks God, but also that all of us is trying to network. And I think that this network is the most important one if we want to achieve something also in mental wellness. But do not forget that mental wellness is just one very important aspect of the whole.
Thank you. It's yours. Sorry.
And I just am really amazed at the thought of how much we can do together, and coordination and partnership. I look at you and I think, wow, we would love to learn more about what you do, partner with you on meditation and mindset. Certainly partner with you, and there are so many wonderful places that we can get in and bring our community. So it's just the partnership. We can do so much more together, and the more time we get together and talk and meet and communicate and share, the more powerful this will be.
Beautiful. It's a consistent message from the panelists, Bobby.
I think what everyone is searching for in community, within themselves and family, is a transcendent experience. That experience of unity, that experience of connectedness, that experience of self-love and love of others. The world is so chaotic and so fragmented and so fractured. The purpose of meditation throughout time is not just to sort of calm the mind or try and, manage traffic. It's to really access that field that lies deep within every human being that now has a neurophysiological basis. It goes beyond religion, it goes beyond philosophy, it goes beyond politics. It's a human being experience, and now from brain research and everything else we know, that's accessible to everyone, and that experience, along with everything else, can transform life. So I'm very excited to work with all of you, and to make this, I'll say one last thing. David Lynch Foundation is this close now to having this meditation reimbursed for every veteran in America to learn to meditate, covered by the US government. And in schools, children meditating, there's a reduction in arrests, there's a reduction in violence and drug abuse. It's a medical intervention, and all these other things need to be part of the mainstream as long as there's science.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, here on the science backing everything.
Thank you all in the audience. You've been engaged. It's late in the day and everyone's a bit tired, but thank you for making your time to be here with us. Thank you to our wonderful panelists who have a wealth of experience.
Oh, wait,
Thank you, Gerry.
We have to thank, we got to thank Gerry for all the work that he's done.
I just wanted to say in the 27 seconds I've got left that the feedback we're getting in the Mental Wellness Initiative is take this to the workplace. So many different people are saying, how are you going to get this into the workplace? Please get it into the workplace. So I'd invite you all to think about that as well. We've heard how Rosewood is doing this, how WW is doing this, and also getting it into the community. But I think that's our next big step. Thank you all very much, and have a good evening.